Hello, I'm Phil Anderson. Welcome to Groan Transfer, the show more realistic than the living room, because it's filmed in my living room. Joining us tonight is Hustler Rowcroft and Sod Tamsin. The Ugly Duckling is a story about belonging and loving yourself, or as I like to call them, unachievable goals. It focuses on the ugly duckling, who is cast out from his family because of his appearance, but is later accepted once he grows up to become a beautiful swan. The ugly duckling is the youngest and most overlooked, much like Ron Weasley or Cameron Bancroft. And if you don't know who he is, word of advice: don't trust him with your balls. You should have seen what he did to mine.
Hustler, why do we look to this kind of protagonist?
Well, Phil, this is the beauty of fairy tales. It is. I mean, think about it. We're looking at a very specific target market, kids, and kids are constantly being told, oh, you're not old enough yet, or you're not smart enough yet. And for them, this is a really powerful tool. And isn't it wonderful, yeah? Isn't it wonderful that we're able to encourage kids to, as you say, love themselves? I mean, what an amazing opportunity. But, Hustler, the Ugly Duckling doesn't encourage kids to love themselves. It encourages kids to form an idea of themselves based on what others think of them. And that's not going to teach kids to love themselves. 88 years after The Ugly Duckling was released, Disney, not one to perpetuate beauty standards, have released its own adaptations. Have a look. The short film was well received, but its remake 8 years later had more feathers in its cap, even receiving an Oscar. Sod. Both adaptations approach the story very differently. Why the sudden change of tactic? Well, Phil, the first thing you have to understand is that Disney is a global marketing machine. They know their audience, and they know how to sell, not just to kids, but to the adults, to the parents. With the first adaptation, it's very dark, and it doesn't have the same wholesome message that the original does. And that's why, with Disney's new product, they've created something that a parent would be more comfortable sharing with their child. Disney isn't the only one making adaptations of The Ugly Duckling. It's reappeared in CGI, ballet, and even manga. Princess Tutu is a 2-volume story about a girl who must rescue the boy she loves by returning pieces of his heart to him. Her name, Ahiru, means duck. She dances with the boy in the Swan Lake and even transforms into a duck at one point. She often compares herself to others, calling them elegant and beautiful, and struggles to fit in. It's basically a more relevant version of The Ugly Duckling.
Hustler, why aren't there more adaptations like this?
Well, first up, what an amazing opportunity for fairy tales. Yeah? I mean, I think the problem with manga is that it's a very niche market. But Hustler, the problem isn't the market. The problem is that the fairy tale genre is so versatile and there are so many adaptations that the target audience is growing tired of it. I mean, we see the Ugly Duckling story all the time. Just look at every high school movie where the main character gets a makeover. I mean, sure, part of the reason why these fairy tales stick is because they are so relatable and recognizable. But it's also why we're looking for new fairy tales, and because the old ones we've grown up with simply won't do anymore. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for tonight.
Please give a warm round of applause for Hustler Rowcroft and Sod Tamsin.
Thank you and have a good night.